the baggage that carried me. At dawn, beneath a pewter sky, I shouldered down the road, a battered case behind me, bearing more than what it showed. It scraped against the gravel, through the bramble, brush, and brown. Each mile I tried to lighten, it seemed somehow to weigh me down. I cursed the case for following, then cursed the crooked track, as though I could outrun the things that kept on pulling back. I dragged it through the dripping fern, through shale and shallow stream, while every buckle, bruise, and latch disturbed a buried dream. I muttered, "Enough is enough," and heard my own refrain. For sometimes what we call a burden is the shape of hidden pain. Beneath a leaning bridge where blackened waters flowed, I dropped the case and walked away, convinced I'd shed its load. I climbed the hill with lighter feet beneath the morning light, then felt the road grow strangely steep beneath my burden's height. Somewhere in the morning mist, I heard a hollow sound, not from the case I left behind, but rising from the ground. I turned and found an old photograph half buried in the clay. A face I loved, a face I'd lost, a face I pushed away. Beside it lay a letter with a crease across its heart. The words, "I never found the nerve to finish at the start." There were apologies unsent and promises I broke, old arguments and bitter words that lingered like the smoke, a childhood fear, a father's voice, a door I never closed, a dream I buried long ago beneath the life I chose. I gathered every fragment with a trembling, weathered hand, then finally understood what I had failed to understand. The case had never followed me to punish or pursue. It carried all the pieces I was frightened to carry through. It held the roads I never took, the chances I had missed, the names I should have answered and the hands I never kissed. It held the nights I nearly drowned, yet somehow learned to breathe, the wounds that taught me tenderness, the losses taught to grieve. It held the failures folded neat beneath my former pride, and every time I fell apart, it kept some strength inside. I opened every stubborn clasp and faced what I had fled, and found that what I feared to carry had carried me instead. For scars are more than souvenirs of battles we survived. They are the quiet cartography of how we stayed alive. Regret can be a ruthless guide, but sometimes it can steer a wandering heart toward better roads by making wrong turns clear. The past can bruise, the past can bite, the past can leave a mark, but even buried embers teach the traveler about dark. We call it baggage when it hurts, then wish the weight away. Forgetting some of what we carry taught us how to stay. We say, just let it go, as though release were simply choice. But some things must be understood before they lose their voice. So I lifted up the battered case, expecting it to strain. But somehow it felt different when I stopped resisting pain. The weight had not diminished. I had changed the way I bore, the things I once considered chains, and understood them more. I learned that healing isn't loss, nor is forgetting peace. Sometimes we heal by giving old wounds somewhere else to breathe. I learned that letting go does not require we let it leave. Sometimes we loosen what we carry by learning to believe. The morning poured its amber gold across the waking land, and I walked on with both my heart and baggage in my hand. I no longer dragged it like a sentence written down. I carried it like history, not shackles to the ground. For every road behind me had contributed a stone, and every stone had helped to build the person I had grown. The burdens I resented had become a strange terrain, where sorrow carved the valleys and endurance raised the plain. And when I reached the crossroads, where 3 dusty pathways spread, I looked back at the battered case and smiled at what it said. It never asked me to forget. It never asked me why. It only held the pieces I was too afraid to carry by. So I walked into the morning with the past beneath my arm. Not because the past was harmless, but because I knew its harm. I finally understood the weight I'd spent my life to flee. I thought I carried all my baggage, but my baggage carried me. A deeper look at the baggage that carried me. At first glance, the poem appears to be about a traveler dragging an old suitcase through a difficult landscape. But the suitcase is really a metaphor for a lifetime. Inside it are not clothes, but the things people accumulate quietly as they move through life: grief, regret, missed opportunities, broken promises, memories, fear, love, loss, and lessons. The poem begins by asking a deceptively simple question. What happens when we spend our lives trying to put down the very things that helped shape us? The title contains the entire paradox. The baggage that carried me sounds contradictory because baggage is normally something we carry. Here, the relationship is reversed. The speaker believes, I carry the baggage. But by the end, he discovers, the baggage carried me. That reversal is the heart of the poem. The painful experiences weren't merely weights attached to his life. They also became the experiences that taught him how to endure, understand, empathize, survive, and continue. The baggage didn't simply follow him. It helped form the person who kept walking. At the physical landscape is an emotional landscape. The opening is deliberately heavy with texture: pewter, sky, gravel, bramble, brush, and brown dripping fern shale and shallow stream. The road isn't merely difficult, it feels weathered. That landscape mirrors the speaker's internal condition. Every obstacle outside him reflects something inside him. The crooked road becomes a metaphor for a crooked life, and the battered case becomes the physical manifestation of everything he hasn't resolved. Lighten and weigh reveal the central conflict. Each mile I tried to lighten, it seemed somehow to weigh me down. This is more than a rhyme. It's the psychological paradox at the center of the poem. The harder he tries to escape his past, the more attention he gives it. He wants to become lighter by removing the past. But perhaps the past becomes lighter only when it is understood. That's an important distinction. The bridge represents the illusion of leaving the past behind. The speaker eventually abandons the suitcase. I dropped the case and walked away, convinced I'd shed its load. The word convinced matters. He thinks he's free, but he hasn't actually dealt with anything. Then, I climbed the hill with lighter feet beneath the morning light, then felt the road grow strangely steep beneath my burden's height. His physical burden disappeared. His emotional burden didn't. The suitcase was never the whole problem. What was inside it had already become part of him. The photograph represents memory. The old photograph isn't just an object. It represents the people and versions of himself that he has tried to leave behind. A face I loved, a face I'd lost, a face I pushed away. Notice the progression. Loved to lost to pushed away. Love creates attachment. Loss creates pain. Pushing away creates unfinished business. The photograph, therefore, becomes a symbol of memory that refuses to remain buried. The unfinished letter represents unfinished life. The letter contains apologies, unsent promises. I broke words I never found the nerve to finish. This is where the suitcase becomes something much deeper. It contains not only what happened, it contains what never happened. That's one of the poem's most important hidden ideas. We can carry memories of events, but we can also carry memories of possibilities. The road we didn't take, the apology we didn't give, the call we never made, the person we never became. Sometimes the heaviest baggage is not the past itself, it's the unfinished past. And the suitcase becomes an archive of survival. Then the poem begins revealing what else is inside. It held the nights I nearly drowned, yet somehow learned to breathe. That line changes the suitcase again. It doesn't merely contain suffering. It contains evidence of survival. And then, the wounds that taught me tenderness, the losses taught to grieve. Pain has become instruction. Loss has become emotional education. Failure has become humility. The suitcase contains not only scars, it contains the wisdom extracted from scars. Cartography is one of the poem's deepest metaphors. They are the quiet cartography of how we stayed alive. Cartography is the art of making maps, so scars become maps. They tell us where we've been, but more importantly, they tell us how we survived getting there. A scar isn't simply proof that something hurt. It is proof that something hurt and the person continued. That makes the scar a record of resilience. Regret becomes a compass. The poem doesn't glorify regret. It calls it a ruthless guide, but then gives regret another purpose. A wandering heart toward better roads by making wrong turns clear. That's a beautiful paradox. A wrong turn can become a directional marker. A mistake doesn't have to become your destination. It can become your compass. Even darkness has something to teach, but even buried embers teach the traveler about dark. The embers are the remnants of something that once burned. They represent memories that still possess warmth, pain, or possibility. Even when the fire is gone, the embers tell you that there was a fire. The past doesn't need to remain burning to remain meaningful. The poem challenges just let it go. This section is deliberately philosophical. We say just let it go, as though release were simply choice. But some things must be understood before they lose their voice. This challenges the idea that healing is simply an act of disposal. Some things cannot be thrown away because they contain lessons we haven't yet understood. The goal isn't necessarily forget, it's understand. The crucial transformation. Then comes the poem's emotional turning point. The weight had not diminished. I had changed the way I bore. This is arguably the central lesson. The suitcase didn't become lighter. The person became stronger. That distinction is everything. Healing doesn't always mean this no longer hurts. Sometimes healing means this still happened, but it no longer controls how I walk. The stones become a foundation for every road behind me had contributed a stone, and every stone had helped to build the person I had grown. A stone can be an obstacle, but enough stones can become a foundation. The poem, therefore, transforms adversity into architecture. Every experience contributed something to the person standing at the crossroads, not because every experience was good, but because life was built from all of it. The crossroads represent choice. By the time the speaker reaches the crossroads, something has fundamentally changed. He still has the baggage. He still has the past. He still has the scars. But now he has something he didn't have before: perspective. The past can accompany him without commanding him. That's the difference between carrying history and being imprisoned by history. The quietest lines may be the most important. It never asked me to forget. It never asked me why. The suitcase doesn't demand an explanation. It doesn't judge. It simply holds the pieces. That makes the suitcase almost compassionate. It has been carrying things the speaker wasn't ready to carry himself. And then, the final revelation. The poem spends nearly its entire length convincing the reader that the suitcase is a burden. Then the final 2 lines overturn everything. I thought I carried all my baggage, but my baggage carried me. Suddenly, the title makes perfect sense. The suitcase carried his memories. Those memories carried his lessons. Those lessons carried his growth. And that growth carried him forward. So the poem isn't really saying, your baggage is good. It's saying something much more subtle. Your past does not have to disappear for you to move forward. You can carry what happened without allowing what happened to decide where you go. The moral beneath the poem: we don't always heal by putting the past down. Sometimes we heal by understanding what it gave us, accepting what it took from us, and learning to carry both without letting either choose our destination. Some baggage weighs you down. Some baggage teaches you how to stand. And perhaps the deepest realization is this: the things we spend our lives trying to outrun may sometimes be the very things that taught us how to keep walking. The speaker thought he had spent his life carrying the baggage. Perhaps all along the baggage had been carrying him.